For at least 50 years, we've debated the importance of ethics in leadership. Some argue there's no place for morality in business. Companies should stay laser focused on profitability. On the other hand, others argue that business leaders who don't incorporate morality into their business could cause their organization to pay substantial costs. Alongside my colleagues Chad Hartnell of Georgia State University and Hannes Leroy from the Rotterdam School of Management Erasmus, we dug into this issue through a deep dive into the scientific literature on leadership and morality. Our basic question was, beyond feel-good guesses, what has the scientific research really found? What does science say about the intersection of ethics and business leadership? What does it mean to be a moral business leader, and is it really all that important? So we completed a comprehensive review of over 300 peer-reviewed papers, and we came to a few conclusions, some of which kind of surprised us. Here's the good news. The scientific evidence is overwhelming that moral leadership is a good thing for teams, organizations, and firms. Leaders who incorporate a strong sense of morality into their leadership and interactions create a huge variety of positive outcomes. Even when you control for traditional, goal-focused, amoral types of leadership, moral leaders have more engaged, motivated, and ultimately effective employees. Their teams produce at higher levels due to strong cultures of effective teamwork, and their firms actually tend to outperform those that are led by less moral leaders in terms of mission accomplishment, financial performance, profitability. The science is clear. Morality matters when it comes to leadership. However, most studies have approached this topic fairly simply. Either you're a moral leader or you're not. And we find it's much more complicated than that because all of us have different views of what morality means, and these differences can have real implications for an organization and a leader's effectiveness. The moral dilemmas leaders face aren't always so cut and dry. Say a company's not doing well. Are layoffs more moral because they affect the smallest number of employees? Or is an organization-wide pay cut the most moral approach since nobody would be laid off? What if a business operates in a culture where certain practices considered taboo in the U.S. are actually considered moral there? What happens when a leader's moral compass disagrees with company policy? What does the moral leader do? Well, when we talk about a moral leader, we find we could really be talking about at least three different types of leaders. There's one that's called the ethical leader. They're going to follow standards and rules and make sure their followers do too. They're going to be fair and honest, but beyond this, they really want to make sure nobody upsets the apple cart. They align themselves with organizational and cultural norms, and they keep their employees out of trouble. Now that sounds reasonable, that sounds like a moral leader, but it conflicts with what's called the authentic leader, who frankly doesn't care about rules or norms. This leader knows who they are and prioritizes the courage to speak up for what they believe in regardless of what anybody else thinks. The authentic leader's fair and honest too, but their brand of morality is more about moral courage, going with their gut, and encouraging their followers to do the same. And then there's a third kind of moral leader, the servant leader, who views morality as more being about just helping people. They'll do whatever it takes to help as many people in any way they can. They prioritize the organization and its stockholders, but also their teammates, their followers, broader communities and societies. They see the most moral thing to do in their leadership role as whatever has the biggest positive impact on people. So all three of these leadership approaches are moral. But it's not hard to see how different types of moral leaders could make different decisions and moral dilemmas. And these differences are important for at least two reasons. First, if we disagree on how to be moral, then we're inclined to distrust one another. That is, if you're a servant leader, focused on helping others, but you work for a manager who's more focused on norms and standards, you're likely to misunderstand them, and they're likely to misunderstand you. You'll see each other as unethical. Your team could question your moral decisions if they don't match your take on morality. And second, our review indicates that these different approaches can lead to slightly different outcomes. The ethical leader, focused on norms and standards, they're more likely to have the strongest compliance cultures, and they're absolutely going to have effective whistleblowers in their employee base. Followers of authentic leaders, they're the ones who grow most in independence and moral courage. And servant leaders, they're going to create servant followers who are focused on helping others, providing stellar customer service, and giving back to the community. So altogether, it's important for organizations to know that moral leadership is really a good thing. The science is conclusive in all the ways that matter. But it's not just enough to decide that we're all going to be moral. The most effective organizations are going to be the ones who are not only moral, but also agree on exactly what that morality really means.